With respect to the cultural issues that come about with a Russian client, they're, once again, very cautious in terms of how they proceed. In certain cases, has taken us up to 10 years for some of our clients who started initially with us to come back and transact business with us. But with that being said, it's a type of situation where if they're coming to the United States, they're coming to buy. They're not necessarily tire kickers. I found that most every one of the clients that has come into our office is a client that is prepared to close. And one very positive thing about the Eastern European client, which is typical of many foreign clients that we're seeing these days, and one of the reasons why we love them is because they close cash and they close quickly. And that's something that every seller is very excited to hear about. But at the same time, there are still obstacles that we have to be aware of that, again, Eastern European clients are not necessarily easy to close, again, for the same reasons that I previously described, which is the financials that need to be in place ahead of time in order to make the process go quickly. So with respect to the legal issues, I think we have panelists that will speak to dealing with a foreign buyer or seller in terms of a closing. I'd like to go on and discuss the pre-purchase issues that take place. Depending on how your client is entering into the United States, and many of them are coming into the U.S. Typically on a tourist visa. Again, that's a issue that generally is an obstacle if they're looking to either rent or, depending on the building, buy, because banks, for example, have a problem if they're looking to lend to a tourist. So everyone's always looking to have somewhat more of a nexus with the United States, and if someone's coming in as a tourist to invest, again, you want to create as many contacts within the United States as possible, so help them open up a bank account or find someone who can help them open up a bank account and create a credit history so that they show that there is a connection to the United States. How are we doing on time? Okay. So having spoken with respect to the credit history and or lack thereof, that's something, again, I can't describe how important that becomes if it gets taken care of early on in the game, especially for the Eastern European client. We've discussed the bank accounts. Just touching again on working with someone from Eastern Europe, the time difference is a major issue. We've closed many of our clients' deals with them not even being in the United States, usually through a third party or a power of attorney. It's very important to keep in mind that there is that 7 to 13, 14-hour time difference if you're dealing with Eastern Europe. That is an issue that comes into play when you're looking to have documents signed or trying to do a closing when someone is on the other side of the world. And again, it's very typical in terms of what we see where transactions are being handled without the client actually being in the United States. We're seeing more and more of that where one of our clients comes to New York, will give us funds for a deposit, sign a power of attorney, and then leave, and we won't see them until after their home is already closed. But with that being said, when you have that major time difference, you have to be cognizant when you're setting up closings and you need responses from your clients or documents from your clients. The language barrier, in many ways, as previously described, is not an issue, but when it does become an issue, it's something that you want to really be prepared for, and the cultural differences can really be addressed when you're dealing with someone from your office that does speak the language. So my recommendation is get close to whoever in your office is either a Russian speaker or speaks the language of your foreign client, and try to associate yourself with an expert, an attorney, or a banker who also speaks the language, because that does make your transaction go much smoother and much quicker. So thank you so much. And, I'd like to apologize in advance. I have a family emergency, so I have to run.
No, that's quite all right. We understand. Has anyone worked with a Russian buyer recently? There we go. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Our next speaker is actually the gentleman responsible for this amazing venue, Phil Robles, even though it's Philip. Is it okay to call you Phil? Okay. Of Citibank. Phil is the mortgage broker that you want on your team because he is a tireless advocate for his clients, and he never wavers from his high standards. Phil's commitment to education is evident in his collaboration with MANAR on this symposium, and we are grateful for all that he has done to make this event a success. Please help me welcome Phil.
Thank you. Can we move this back to the... Oh, there we go. Excellent. Okay. First, I want to thank Rick Wolfarth and Associates, Kennard, for all their hard work on doing this. You did a great job pulling this together, and the amount of people in the room is amazing, so thank you. Well, contrary to popular belief, Citibank is lending. We're definitely doing residential mortgages. We're going as high as $8 million. And then once we get past that, I would push the client into our private bank, which would then take them as far as they need to go. For the purpose of the event, what I want to speak about is our Global Client Initiative, which is a program that speaks to the buyer who doesn't live in the U.S. and does not have basically is a visa client. So why Citibank is doing this, one of the first and foremost reasons is our global reach. We're the largest consumer bank when it concerns the amount of the presence that we have internationally. We have the most branches in the most countries. 40 different countries that we have branches in, and I believe it's 160 countries that we operate in. 4,600 branches and 60 million client base. The second reason is basically the $2.5 billion in sales that are taking place in New York City in the past year. We realized that we need to service that client and have a program available to them to purchase homes, namely second homes. So what we're doing right now is we've created the Global Client Program, which basically has a couple features to it that I'll go over, which is an adjustable rate mortgage, a fixed rate mortgage. We're doing purchase and refinance, single family homes, condos, and co-ops. Coming soon, we will have kitty condos, which was pulled off of our product line, but we'll be putting it back on in the near future, which will be allowed for the global client. One thing that I think is important is the pre-approval program that we have. When you have a global client, we have a program that will allow you to begin to pre-qualify that client, get them through the documentation process before they begin to look at properties, which will allow for the stress-free transaction that the global client is typically looking for. The loan amount caps out at $2 million on the Global Client Program, and a maximum loan-to-value of 70%. So they're going to need to put 30% down in this program. Self-employed is fine, and a wage earner is fine, and we're typically verifying that through, most commonly, a letter from the corporation that the person works for. If they're self-employed, we would look for a letter from their tax preparer in their country, and we'll typically use that as verification of employment. The credit challenges we are aware of, so we know that a lot of these clients do not have FICO scores and do not have credit. So we'll typically build credit for them through letters from creditors that they're using in their home country. We'll typically use 4 different companies or lenders that they're working with and use those to build credit. So no FICO score is required, and there's no add-on to interest rate in this program because of a client that does not have a FICO score. The assets that we verify would need to be with a major bank, and instead of your typical 3 months verification of assets, we're going to do a 6-month verification of assets. And we're going to want to source any large deposits. So that could be challenging. Again, the pre-approval program is key in this because if we find that there's an issue somewhere along the line with documentation, we're ahead of the transaction and we're able to deal with that prior to a client going to contract or placing a bid. So I meant for this to last a total of 8 minutes, but I've just blasted through all of my bullet points on this. And I think that what's important is to know that we are lending. We are growing exponentially in the city and in the tri-state area. So there are plenty of people like myself who have been well educated on this program. If you're able to partner with them, you'll find that you can get financing for the international client. I'm happy to come into any one of your offices and give a more detailed presentation, which I've already prepared, that will give a lot more depth to this program and other programs that we have. So feel free to reach out to me or any one of my colleagues, and we'll do it.
Thank you.
So.